maybe there is no need to introduce you once again. However, if we happen to have some new readers or followers today, maybe you can just give a brief introduction once again.
Okay, briefly, my name is Chris. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, which is in the center of the United States. I moved to Oklahoma for a few years, and then I studied so I studied a bit in the States, and then I moved to England and studied in England, lived in England for a period of years, and then I moved to Europe, Poland, and most recently Moscow, where I'm teaching at university.
Okay, I didn't know you actually spent some time in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Thanks for not telling me that. All right. Okay. So today, I've already given a brief introduction of our topic and explained how important this topic is, because I think that only a native speaker can actually talk about really cool ways and polite ways and authentic ways of how to agree and how to disagree. Because from our books, of course, we have this list of ways to agree or disagree and some interaction phrases, but sometimes they seem to be a little bit inauthentic. That's why I'm super excited to get this information from you today.
Great.
Yes. So of course I'm going to be interrupting you and asking a lot of follow-up questions, as I always do. So let's get started.
All right, so let's begin. We're going to start with ways to agree. Let's start with the positives before we get to the very difficult aspects of disagreeing. Now, when we talk about agreeing and disagreeing, we're talking about two levels of understanding. So, of course, today I'm going to talk about linguistic aspects, how to phrase, proper phrases, 5 or 6 phrases for each. But keep in mind that there's a social element to this, because the way you agree or disagree is your ability to show tact or tactfulness. And tactfulness is this ability to be sensitive to the ideas or the feelings of others. So we want to be tactful, especially when we're disagreeing. So there's a social and a linguistic element, which I know if all of the teachers out there listening understand that this is always the case when you deal with language and people, and that you have to be very socially conscious. And so let's begin with, I think, what Dasha has already mentioned, the very simple expression of I agree with you. I fully agree with you, or I completely agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Now in America, 100% isn't good enough. So you know what we say? I agree with you 1,000%.
Oh, wow.
That's not possible.
But I never heard that here.
Yeah, we love to exaggerate.
Okay. Probably just no one agrees with me. I don't really find my ideas extremely stupid, so that's why I never heard it here. Okay, but that's a good one.
Okay. Now, if you want to be a little bit more formal in a business meeting, you could say, I concur. Mm-hmm. I concur with the lady to my left or to my right. Concur is, we can spell it or someone can spell it, but concur means to agree. You can say something like, I'm of the same opinion. A less formal way is, I couldn't have said it any better. Thank you. I couldn't have said it any better, which makes people feel really good because they feel like they were really almost perfect. Now, those are, I think, rather basic ways to agree. Now, if you want to sort of be more sophisticated with your agreement, and I think more effective, I'm going to recommend agreement plus reason why you agree. So here's the phrase, and then I'm going to give you an example. The phrase is, somebody, X, put it very well when he said. Put it very well. So John put it very well when he said da da da. Mm-hmm. So let's say the speaker is talking about the importance of online educational opportunities. The importance of online educational opportunities. So after the speech is done, I'm talking to the speaker, and there are other people around, and I say the following. John put it very well when he discussed statistics of the growth in online education in the last 5 years. So you've not only agreed with the speaker, but you've told them why. And let me tell you what happens. People go, oh, they listened.
Mm-hmm.
People love to be listened to. They don't
Right.
always like to listen, but they like to be listened to.
Right. Well, I love this one. Yeah, I love this one. So, what about like the phrases that we actually use when we only speak or in academic writing? So, which of these phrases that you have already mentioned would you recommend for academic writing, like for YGA or IELTS or TOEFL?
Yeah, concur is a nice one because not many writers certainly at the high school level are going to be using the word concur. It's a little bit pompous. We can look at that word later. Pompous means it's a little bit showy,
Mm-hmm.
but when you're doing an exam, it doesn't matter. You can be pompous because you want the examiners to know, hey, I know synonyms for the simple word agree. I concur.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. I'm really glad you brought that one up because I recently got a question for you. So what if you start like kind of using all these sophisticated and pompous words in your writing? Can examiners potentially consider that you just kind of like memorize these words to show off, and can it like get you some points down?
Okay, it can for the following reason. If you memorize set phrases and you put them on paper and it produces stilted English. Stilted means awkward. If it's really awkward, then the examiner obviously knows that you've memorized a phrase, you've copied and pasted it in the center of this sentence, and it doesn't really flow. It works very effectively if you use it in a natural flow of a sentence. So, so John concurred with the speaker when he presented the following information. The reason concurred works there is because all the rest of the sentence is of the same tone or level. If you switch tones or levels up and down, then examiners understand that you actually don't know how to use that in sort of a natural setting. So yes, but only if the writer is confident that he can carry that through the whole sentence.
Okay, so here is the question. Do you have questions?
Yeah, I see it. Can I say I absolutely concur? Now, let me tell you, okay, in academic writing, you don't need to use absolutely. It's somehow seen as hyperbole. That means exaggeration. You concur or you don't. You agree or you don't. Now, there are levels of agreement, but you don't use absolutely. Not in academic English. But you can, interestingly, you can say, I fully concur. Absolutely seems a little bit over the top, which means too much. I concur is sufficient because you agree. You've made your point, and you don't need to elaborate on that unless you want to do it in a more substantive matter, like explaining why you agree. But these extra adverbs sort of make the sentence a bit awkward. But you can say, I partially concur. Now that's fine.
Oh yeah, that's good to know. So guys, just a little remark from me. So unfortunately, in English, not all adverbs work with all verbs. So like Chris has just said, that fully concur just kind of sort of sounds fine, and absolutely does not. However, absolutely might sound fine with another verb, which fully does not work with. So that's just something that you should develop your intuition for, or just memorize them as set phrases. So am I correct here?
Yeah, that's very good.
Okay, all right. So I think we can move on.
Okay, then the final one is this is interesting because it's a subtle form of agreement. You don't actually say directly, I agree, but you imply it by what you, by the content of the sentence. So listen to this. So remember, again, the speaker has just given a presentation on the importance of online educational opportunities. So after the meeting, I say the following. John has raised some important points in discussing such opportunities. In particular, the low costs associated with online educational opportunities. So John has raised some important points. That is a way of saying indirectly, but more or less directly, I agree with what he says. Not only do I agree, but I like it. And so this is, when you provide detail to your assessment, especially when you agree, you win a lot of points, especially with the speaker.
Yeah. Oh, I love this one. Yeah, that's a great thing. So please, guys, write it down. It's something to use in your presentations on a business meeting. That works perfectly well. If you listen to someone on a business meeting, they're going to be using a lot of vocabulary like that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and
this is good in all the exams. This is a very good one.
So how about a phrase to take the words out of someone's mouth? Because it sort of means agreement too, is it?
So if I'm about to say something and someone says it right before me, you go, oh my gosh, you took the words right out of my mouth. So it's a form of agreement, but more than that, it's just coinciding. You're on the same wavelength. You're thinking in sync or in the same sort of path. So it's yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, and I just feel that sometimes people are using this phrase, even if they didn't really think about that, just kind of please the person they're speaking to or something like that.
Okay, maybe
So
yes.
Yeah.
A form of flattery. I don't know if we know this.
Yeah.
I will write this down here. A form of flattery. Flattery is excessive praise. Well, not excessive, but a lot of praise.